Before we begin, I want you to imagine something. Imagine waking up one day at the age of 70, looking back at your life, and realizing there were lessons you wish someone had told you earlier. Lessons about time, about people, about choices. The truth is, many people reach the later years of their lives carrying regrets. Not because life was cruel, but because they didn't know the wisdom that could have guided them earlier. Today, I want to share the kind of wisdom that usually comes only with decades of living. Think of this video as a quiet conversation with someone who has already walked many roads, made mistakes, learned hard lessons, and now speaks to those still walking their journey. If you're young, these words may guide you. If you're older, they may remind you of truths you already know. But either way, listen carefully. Because sometimes a single insight can save you years of struggle. Before we continue, I want to invite you to do something simple. If you believe wisdom should be shared, if you believe younger generations should learn from the experiences of those who have walked before them, take a moment to like this video. It helps this message reach people who may need it today. And if you enjoy thoughtful reflections like this, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future conversations about life, growth, and wisdom. In the comments, write these simple words. I'm listening. It's a small reminder that today you're choosing to pause, reflect, and learn. One of the first lessons life teaches, often too late, is that time is far more valuable than money. When we're young, we think we have endless time. We delay important conversations. We postpone dreams. We assume there will always be another chance. But as the years pass, you begin to see time differently. You realize that the moments you spend with family, the opportunities you ignore, the habits you build each day, they are quietly shaping the life you will eventually live. I knew a man who spent most of his youth chasing success, working long hours, always believing he would enjoy life later. When later came, it arrived faster than he expected. He realized he had achieved success, but had missed the moments that mattered most. The lesson is not to avoid ambition. The lesson is balance. Work hard. Pursue your dreams. But never forget that life is happening while you are busy planning the future. Take a slow breath. Ask yourself quietly, am I using my time wisely? What are the moments in your life right now that you may be overlooking? Sometimes the most valuable parts of life are the simplest ones. Another truth that becomes clearer with age is that character matters more than reputation. Reputation is what people say about you. Character is who you are when nobody is watching. When you build your life on honesty, humility, and integrity, something powerful happens. People begin to trust you. Trust cannot be bought. It cannot be demanded. It is earned slowly, through consistent action. Many young people focus on being impressive. But wisdom teaches us something deeper. Focus on being reliable. Focus on being kind. Focus on being consistent. Take a moment to comment below. Tell us what you're learning. You never know who might read your comment and feel encouraged to start their own journey toward a wiser life. Now, take a breath, and let's continue. We have explored the value of time and the power of character. Now, let's dive deeper into lessons about courage, relationships, and the choices that shape a life of purpose. Many young people believe that courage is the absence of fear. I've lived long enough to know it's the opposite. Courage is acting despite fear, stepping forward when your heart trembles, taking responsibility when it would be easier to walk away. I remember a young man, David, who was terrified to pursue his calling. He delayed, overthought, and doubted himself for years. When he finally acted, he realized that fear never went away. It became a companion, one that reminded him he was alive, aware, and growing. Take a moment. Ask yourself, what have I delayed because I was afraid? Imagine what would happen if you acted today, even in the smallest way. Relationships are another quiet teacher of life. I've seen young people chase popularity, approval, or fleeting romance, thinking connection is easy. True connection, however, requires patience, listening, and genuine presence. Let me tell you about Clara, who spent years prioritizing career over family. By the time she slowed down, she realized the moments she had ignored could never be fully recovered. The advice I would give to anyone younger: show up, be present, listen more than you speak, invest time and love where it matters most. Even small acts of attention, thoughtfulness, or kindness ripple far beyond what you can see. Another truth is that your environment shapes your life more than you realize. The people you spend the most time with, the habits you indulge, the thoughts you feed, they all determine the trajectory of your journey. I once knew a man who surrounded himself with negativity and gossip. He worked hard, yet progress was slow. Joy was rare, and frustration constant. When he chose to seek mentorship, he surrounded himself with positive influences and guarded his mental space. His growth accelerated. His relationships, work, and peace improved. Reflect quietly. Who or what am I letting shape me today? Are these influences lifting you, or holding you back? Gratitude is one of the most underestimated tools for living fully. It's not just feeling thankful. It's noticing what is good, acting on appreciation, and allowing it to transform your perspective. Margaret, a woman in her 60s, she writes down 3 things she is grateful for each day. Simple, small entries. Yet over time, she noticed profound change: more peace, more joy, more patience with others. Even small gestures of gratitude, a note, a call, a helping hand, create ripples that touch lives in ways you may never see. Pause for a moment. Think quietly. What can I be grateful for right now? And consider one small act you can do today to express that gratitude. We have explored the value of time, the power of character, courage, relationships, and gratitude. Now let's go deeper. Let's talk about forgiveness, clarity, patience, and living with purpose. Life will often test your ability to forgive. Not because others always deserve it, but because forgiveness frees you more than it frees anyone else. I knew a woman, Lydia, who carried anger toward a friend for decades. Every conversation, every memory, reminded her of the hurt. It was like a shadow over her own happiness. One day, she decided to release it. She didn't need an apology. She didn't need closure from the other person. She just chose peace. And with that choice, her heart felt lighter, her mind clearer, and her relationships deeper. Take a quiet moment. Ask yourself, is there someone I need to release today? Forgiveness is not weakness. It is strength. It is freedom. Clarity is another quiet teacher. We often think clarity comes from external achievements or recognition. But real clarity comes from reflecting on your life, your choices, and your values. I remember Thomas, who spent years chasing ambition without reflection. By the time he paused to consider what truly mattered, he realized he had ignored the things that gave life meaning: family, health, and personal growth. Take a slow breath. Ask yourself, am I living intentionally, or am I drifting? Clarity comes when you stop rushing and start observing your own path. Patience is a skill that grows with experience, but it can be practiced at any age. Many young people believe everything should happen quickly: careers, relationships, success. But life unfolds on its own schedule. Trying to rush it only leads to frustration. I knew a man, Michael, who was impatient with every delay. He missed opportunities because he wanted immediate results. Over time, he learned to wait, to observe, and to act when the time was right. His results were better, his peace greater, and his relationships stronger. Pause and reflect. Where am I rushing? Where could patience improve my life? Gratitude in action transforms life in ways that thinking alone cannot. It's not enough to feel thankful. We must express it through our actions, words, and choices. I've met young people who complained endlessly about what they didn't have, while overlooking the small blessings around them. I've met older people who, with little wealth, lived in deep joy because they noticed and acted on the good in every day. Even a small gesture, a kind word, a helping hand, a note of thanks, can ripple far beyond what you see. Take a quiet moment. Ask yourself, what one small act of gratitude can I do today? Then do it. That small action strengthens your heart and the world around you. Before we move on, take a small action. If these reflections are helping you pause and think, like this video so others can find it. Subscribe for more reflections that guide life choices. Comment below. I choose peace and clarity today. A small step that makes reflection real. As you take a deep breath, remember this: life is built quietly, choice by choice, reflection by reflection. Every pause, every insight, every small act of wisdom compounds over time. What you do today shapes the life you'll live tomorrow. We have explored the value of time, character, courage, relationships, clarity, patience, and gratitude in action. Now let's turn to lessons that shape strength, connection, leadership, and personal growth. Life will knock you down. That is certain. Many young people believe failure defines them, but here's the truth: resilience determines the quality of your life. I remember a woman, Ellen, who lost her job, her savings, and almost her confidence in her 40s. She could have given up, and many would have. Instead, she reflected, learned, and started again, slowly, deliberately, with patience. 10 years later, she had built a career full of fulfillment, stability, and pride. Take a moment. Ask yourself, where in my life do I need to rise again? Failures are not the end. They are opportunities to grow stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. Love is another quiet teacher. Many young people think love is instant, easy, or exciting. True love, in family, friendships, or romance, is about commitment, patience, and understanding. I knew a man, Victor, who spent years trying to impress people with gestures while ignoring their real needs. Only when he began to listen, understand, and show consistent presence did his relationships truly transform. Pause for reflection. Where can I show deeper care today? Love is action. Even small, consistent gestures ripple further than grand, fleeting displays. Leadership is not about titles. It is about influence, example, and integrity. I met people with power who inspired nothing, and others with no authority who changed countless lives simply by leading with character. Leadership is how you act when no one is watching, how you inspire trust and loyalty by example. Clara, a young manager, struggled to guide her team. Her mentor told her, "Lead by showing care and integrity. Others will follow naturally." Years later, her team was motivated, loyal, and inspired, not out of fear, but respect and trust. Reflect quietly. Am I leading by example, or only seeking recognition? True leadership begins in small, consistent choices. Perhaps the greatest lesson I have learned in life is this: master yourself before trying to master anything else. Self-mastery is discipline, control over impulses, and clarity of purpose. Without it, even talent and opportunity can be wasted. I knew a man, Michael, gifted in every way, yet he squandered years to indulgence and distraction. When he committed to self-mastery, routines, focus, and intentional action, his life transformed. Take a slow breath. Ask yourself, which habit is shaping me today? Am I acting intentionally or letting impulse lead? Before we continue, take a small step. Like this video if these reflections help you pause and think. Subscribe for more guidance and wisdom. Comment below. I'm choosing growth and resilience today. Even small actions anchor the reflections in your life. What you do today compounds into who you become tomorrow. Take another deep breath. Let these truths settle. Life is full of setbacks, but resilience transforms them. Love is action, not just feeling. Leadership begins in character and example. Self-mastery creates freedom, focus, and fulfillment. Carry these lessons with you as you move through your day and life. Take a slow breath. If you've stayed this long, it means something inside you values reflection, wisdom, and a deeper understanding of life. In the earlier hours, we spoke about time, character, courage, relationships, patience, resilience, and self-mastery. Now, let's reflect on something many people search for throughout their entire lives. Purpose. Many people spend years waiting for purpose to appear like a sudden revelation. But in truth, purpose rarely arrives all at once. It grows quietly. It grows through the choices you make, the people you help, the skills you develop, and the values you live by. I remember a woman named Helen. For many years she worked in jobs that never truly fulfilled her. She kept telling herself she would find her purpose. Someday. But someday has a way of turning into many years. Eventually she began doing something small. She started mentoring young people in her community. Just an hour here and there. That small act slowly grew into something meaningful. By the time she reached her 50s, she realized something beautiful. Purpose had been forming all along through her actions. Purpose rarely begins with something grand. It begins with small steps taken consistently. Pause for a moment and ask yourself quietly, what small step toward meaning could I take today? Sometimes the most important step is simply beginning. Another truth that becomes clear with time is the weight of regret. Regret can follow people for decades. Words left unsaid. Opportunities ignored. Relationships neglected. But here is something I've learned. Regret loses its power the moment you decide to learn from it instead of living inside it. I once spoke with a man in his 60s who carried regret for years because he had abandoned his dream when he was young. For a long time he believed it was too late. But one day he decided to try again, not because he expected success, but because he wanted peace. And something surprising happened. The moment he began again, the weight of regret started to disappear. Not everything in life can be changed, but many things can still be improved. Ask yourself quietly, is there something in my life I have been postponing because I believe it is too late? Sometimes the most freeing decision is simply to begin again. Gratitude is another lesson that reveals its true power over time. Many people believe happiness comes from gaining more money, more recognition, more possessions. Yet I've met people with very little who live with deep peace and joy. The difference is perspective. Gratitude shifts how we see the world. It teaches us to notice the ordinary blessings we often overlook, the people who care about us, the simple moments of calm, the opportunities that appear quietly in everyday life. There was an elderly woman I once knew who had a small notebook beside her bed. Every night she wrote 3 things she was grateful for. Some days they were simple. A kind conversation. A good meal. A moment of laughter. Over time she realized something remarkable. The more she looked for gratitude, the more she found it. Pause for a moment. Think of 3 things you are grateful for right now. They don't have to be big. Often the smallest blessings carry the deepest meaning. And finally, there's one lesson that many people only truly understand later in life. Life is not meant to be rushed through. It is meant to be lived. Many young people spend years chasing the next milestone, the next promotion, the next achievement, the next goal. But the truth is, life is happening right now. In the conversations you have, in the people you love, in the quiet moments when you pause and breathe. I once met a man named Robert who spent most of his early life working endlessly. Later in life he realized he wanted to give back. He began teaching young people the skills he had learned over decades. What started as a simple act of mentorship eventually impacted many lives. When someone asked him why he did it, he smiled and said something simple. I want to leave the world a little better than I found it. That, perhaps, is one of the most meaningful ways to live. Not perfectly, not flawlessly, but intentionally. Take a slow breath. If you have listened this far, you've spent hours reflecting on wisdom that many people only discover after decades of living. Now the question becomes simple. What will you do with it? Reflection is powerful. But reflection becomes transformation when it turns into action. So before we close, take one small step. If these reflections have spoken to you, take a moment to like the video so others who are searching for wisdom can discover it too. And if you enjoyed these quiet moments of reflection and life lessons, subscribe to the channel so you can return whenever you need encouragement or perspective. Finally, in the comments, write these simple words. I choose to live wisely. Sometimes a small declaration becomes the beginning of a meaningful change. Take one more slow breath. Carry these thoughts with you. And remember, life is not just measured by years. It is measured by how deeply we live, how kindly we treat others, and how intentionally we walk our path. Go forward with wisdom, patience, and gratitude. And live well.